The old house next door had always been a mystery. James and Lily moved into their new home excitedly, ready to start their life together. Everything was perfect until the first night when they heard a faint thumping coming from the empty neighbor's house. At first, they thought it was just the wind, or maybe the settling noises of an old building. But as the days turned into weeks, those noises turned into whispers, low and unsettling, like a child's giggle and a woman's soft sobs. Each night, they lay in bed, their hearts racing, wondering if they should investigate or just ignore it. Eventually, curiosity overcame fear. One rainy evening, James grabbed a flashlight and lured Lily outside. The heavy air was filled with a weird sense of dread, but they pressed on. As they approached the neighbor's house, they noticed the front door creaked open slightly, as if inviting them in. With trembling hands, James pushed the door wider, and it swung open with a loud groan, revealing darkness shrouded in dust. The inside was eerie and desolate, the walls lined with faded pictures of a family. They appeared happy, but as they stepped in, the mood shifted, making the hair on their necks stand on end. Suddenly, a loud crash came from upstairs, making them jump. "Should we go up?" Lily whispered, eyes wide. James hesitated but then nodded, fueled by the adrenaline of fear. They climbed the creaky staircase, the steps protesting under their weight, but the whispers grew louder with each step, resonating through the hallway. "Help us! Help us!" The whispers chanted, and Lily covered her ears, trembling. But James pressed on, drawn by a force he couldn't explain. They reached the door at the end of the hall, slightly ajar. James pushed it open, and what they saw made their skin crawl. A small room filled with old toys lay scattered on the floor, and in the corner stood an old rocking chair that swayed back and forth as if someone had just left it. In the dim light, they could make out a shadowy figure of a small girl. "Please help me," she whispered, her voice filled with sorrow. As they stepped closer, they saw her features: translucent skin, hollow eyes, and a mouth frozen in a silent scream. Lily gasped, and as she took a step back, the girl pointed to the wall. There, an old photograph hung crookedly. In it, the same girl smiled at a woman who looked eerily familiar. It was Lily's grandmother, who had disappeared 30 years ago. Heart racing, Lily recoiled in shock. Is this my grandmother?" she stammered. The girl nodded slowly, tears streaming down her cheeks. "She promised to save me, but she never came." Panic filled the room as the weight of the history crashed over them. The girl was trapped, and so was Lily's grandmother, caught in a time that refused to let them go. Suddenly, the temperature plummeted, and a whirlwind of cold air enveloped them. Slamming the door shut, the girl screeched, "You have to help us." Lily felt the despair wash over her like a tidal wave. James held her tightly, realizing the horror they had stumbled into. They had uncovered a tragic secret. The girl had been trapped here for decades, and her spirit was tied to that of Lily's grandmother, who had never been able to rescue her due to a pact made out of desperation. They needed to break the curse. Time was running out as the whispers grew frantic, and otherworldly energy pulsating in the room. They joined hands, and in a moment of clarity, Lily remembered a chant her grandmother used to say when she was young. "We need to say it together," she urged James. Gathering every ounce of courage, they recited the words, their voices echoing against the walls. With each repetition, the air grew thicker, the shadows more defined. The girl's cries intensified, and suddenly, a flash of light burst from the wall, illuminating the darkness as if revealing a long-hidden truth. The ghostly girl surged forward, and through her crystal-clear eyes, Lily saw all the pain and despair her grandmother had felt. In one heartbreaking moment, a flicker of recognition crossed their faces. And then, with a deafening crack, the shadows began to dissipate. The room brightened, the whispers fading into a serene silence. They fell to their knees, gasping as the weight lifted, the spirits finally freed. As the last remnants of the night swallowed the light, they realized they had changed everything. But the cost of truth lingered in the air, both tragic and beautiful. Though they would never see the girl or Lily's grandmother again, they knew their sacrifice had ended the torment. As they walked out of the house, the chill of the night faded, replaced by an odd warmth. They took one last look at the old building, now just an empty shell of its former self. It was a bittersweet moment. A burden lifted, but a piece of their heart remained forever intertwined with the spirits they had freed. The whispers that once haunted them were gone, replaced by the soft rustling of leaves in the wind. From that day on, the memories of what they experienced lived within them, a constant reminder of the courage it takes to confront the past. As they settled back into their own home, James and Lily often found solace in the night sky, believing they could feel the spirits watching over them, finally at peace in the afterlife. They learned that some secrets should never be forgotten, but rather embraced, carrying the weight of history with grace. Life moved on, but they would always honor the girl and Lily's grandmother, a tragic tale of haunting love and unbreakable bonds that echoed in their souls, forever entwining their fates with the past.